There is nothing more frustrating than seeing a whole range of boots in department stores or online and discovering that the vast majority of them are not made for people who have wide calves. This means that if you want a pair of boots that is fashionable, sometimes you've got to really search around, or you're going to have to alter the boots so that they fit you. Now, I'm going to show you some things that you can do to help get your boots to fit better. Word of warning, however, if any of these methods go wrong or damage your boots, they're at your own risk. No shoe alteration is without some risk, so just be cautious when you're following some of this advice to make sure that you're not going to break the boots. Now, before I begin and talk about, how we're going to do this, I should mention there are lots of shops now that do sell wide calf boots. Amazon, Duo Boots, Gillian do Rain Boots, Lane Bryant, Macy's, Nordstrom Rack, Torrid, Yours Clothing, Simply Be, just to name a few. Have a look there to see if those brands stock some kinds of boots that you like. If you don't, then carry on listening and I'll show you how you can start to alter some other boots that you buy so that they fit your calves properly. So I'm going to show you some ways in which you can expand the calf of the boots that you've got. And in particular, we're talking about the boot shaft. That's the bit that goes from your ankle towards your knee. I will say that for most people, the maximum that you'll probably be able to expand the calf is between 1 to 2 inches. Okay, if you find that your boots need more expansion than that, I hate to tell you, but either you're going to have to sell those boots, give them away, or buy something else. Now, my first product that I'm going to talk about, which I haven't got a picture of, but I thought I have to mention it because it's probably one of the best on the market, is called a Footfitter Aluminium Boot Calf Stretcher. And all it is a device that you put inside the shaft of your boot. You turn a handle at the top of the boot, and parts of the aluminium start to put pressure on the inside of your boots, and that will start to stretch them. You can do this slowly, so you can turn the handle a little bit at the time, so you're not making sure that you're not busting any seams or anything on your boots. And when you do that, you'll find that you've been able to expand your boots much more easily. I should also say it's going to be much easier to expand your boots if they don't have a lining inside them. If they're just pure leather, it's going to be much easier to do. Lining is obviously going to be harder to stretch because it is fabric. The next product I'm going to talk about is called a boot band, and it is a very specific device that slots into the zipper of your boot and has an elastic portion that allows the boot more room. And I'm going to put links to these products below so that you can have a look at them. A boot band is a relatively cheap and easy way of doing it. The only thing I would say with the boot band is that it is quite visible. It does change the look of the boots, which the aluminium Footfitter product doesn't. But obviously the boot band is significantly cheaper than the aluminium stretcher. But both are hugely viable products that you might want to think about using. If you don't need to stretch your boots too much, then I would also recommend a stretching spray. Stretching sprays are relatively cheap. You can buy them on places like Amazon, and again, I'll put a link below. And they're great products that you spritz inside your boots. So you spray the liquid inside, put your boots on, and start wearing them and walking around in them. And as you do that, it will stretch the material the boots are made from. It doesn't just stretch leather, it will do things like suede and canvas and other styles of boots as well. So have a look online and find a stretching spray that might work for you. Again, a little bit more hit and miss than using the aluminium boot stretcher, but again, a considerably cheaper option. My next solution, probably the cheapest of all the solutions, but probably not the best for your boots, is water. Now, what you can do here is you can get your boots and place them into a bath of water stood up. So in other words, you don't want the water on the inside of the shoes, just on the outside, and let them sit in that water for about 10-15 minutes. When the fibers of the leather are pretty soaked with that water, you can take the boots out, Dry off any drips and then put them on and start walking around in them, preferably with some thick socks on or maybe even some leggings to stretch them. Remember, if you do use this method, you're saturating the leather of the boots, which isn't necessarily great for them. So you might need to use a leather conditioner on them afterwards just to keep the boots supple and to prevent cracking. What I wouldn't advise you to do is to do this if your boots are made from suede or a material like that, which is going to cause stains or marks, and certainly not on very high-end expensive boots, because if you ruin them, you are going to have a problem because you won't be able to take them back. While I'm on the subject of thick socks, I'll mention that yes, wearing thick socks by themselves can help to stretch your boots to fit better. However, it won't help you if the zip of your boots isn't doing up in the first place. So only use that method if you've got a pair of knee-high boots that are causing you a little bit of friction or rubbing. If you put the knee-high socks on and they're thick and you wear them around, you'll expand the boots enough just to stretch them so they feel more comfortable. You're going to use the other methods where you've got a problem where the zip isn't actually moving all the way up to the top of the boots. I'll mention the freezer method, not my favorite method, but I'll tell you about it anyway. And that's where you get some water, place it in freezer bags and obviously seal it. Place those water bags into the places of your boot where you've got a problem. And if you wrap your boot then into a bag and place it in the freezer, the water turns to ice, the ice expands, and that puts pressure on the boot, and that starts to stretch whatever it's made from. The problem that I have with this method is it can be a bit hit and miss. It's not very accurate. And personally, I would only use this if you're a bit desperate. The other methods like the stretching spray and the aluminium cast work much better for stretching your boots. Finally, an obvious one, but I'll mention it, is visiting a cobbler at your local store to get them to do adjustments for you because they have the machines and the capability. Some cobblers who are really, skilled are able to unstitch parts of boots and place pieces of elastic in and all sorts of clever stuff. If you can do that yourself, great. I've seen some people recommending some DIY stuff online. However, if you're like me and you're rubbish at DIY, I wouldn't be hacking away at my boots hoping to get a piece of elastic inside them. I would send it to a professional, otherwise it's going to look like a dog's dinner. So my recommendation, yes, cobblers can be great, but again, there are limitations to what they can do. My top recommendations still are the shoe stretching spray or the boot stretching spray and the Footfitter aluminium cast. One's obviously significantly more expensive than the other, but it is a thing of beauty and it does make a difference. For more handy shoe tips, shoe reviews and footwear fixes, you can head on over to my website, chicpeddy.com, where I have tons of information to help you with your feet and your foot health.